You know what's really crazy? Like really crazy. Like insanely crazy. It wasn't that long ago that I marched into my boss's office and I was like, listen here, bub, I ain't doing this anymore. And I like wiped everything off their desk and I kicked over their like computer monitor. And that's not really how it happened at all. It was all via Zoom and I cried like a little baby. And it's because I was scared. I was scared to leave my $110,000 salary. And it's been a whole year. And in that year, I went from making about $110,000 a year in my 9-to-5 job to about $2 million a year or so. Actually, I think it's a little bit more than that, but right now we're gonna say $2 million a year. And I've learned a lot of hard lessons along the way that I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about some of the, I don't wanna say the downsides of quitting your 9-to-5 job because there are way more upsides than downsides, but there's sort of this, you know, this mentality and there's sort of this story and this narrative that's like, quit your 9-to-5 job, you can do it, you can do anything you set your mind to and blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's all actually kind of true. I actually do believe all of that, but my story in the last year of quitting my 9-to-5 job is a success story. It was really the best case scenario, but even then I've had a couple of hardships and downsides and things that I've had to work through, both as a family man, an entrepreneur, a YouTube creator, an Airbnb operator, and everything in between. So I wanted to sort of talk about, for you, if you're thinking about quitting your 9-to-5 job, whether or not you have money on the other side of it lined up or anything like that, I still want to talk about the things that you're probably going to experience and things that you're going to go through, because one thing that I found is in this whole journey, it's very hard to relate to people. Like if you're alone, if you're the only person that you know that's not really working a 9-to-5 job and you're trying to communicate with everyone in your life that has a 9-to-5 job, it's just really tough. It's really tough to have someone that can listen to you and feel what you're feeling. And so I just want you to know you're not alone. I was kind of alone over the last year, mostly like self-imparted because I was living in Tennessee on 52 acres. But you know, hey, I learned things. I always say that I like to learn things the hard way, so hopefully you can learn them the easier way. So with that, let's jump into number one here. And by the way, this isn't in any particular order. And also, I'm gonna get pretty personal in this. Like I always get personal. I always share numbers and details and personal things about myself. So if you wanna, you know, get personal with my like button and hook me up by tapping it and making it blue, I would really appreciate that. So that YouTube says, hey, Rob's video is really relating with a lot of people. We're gonna send it out to more people and help them go viral and send them to the heavens of YouTube. So with that, number one, the hard lesson that I've learned in quitting my 9-to-5 job and really just working for myself was that keeping track of money is very hard. I think, you know, previous to quitting my 9-to-5 job, all I really ever had to keep track of was some of my Airbnb income, which wasn't really a lot, you know, not too long ago, and my $110,000 salary and my wife's $75,000 salary. And we were on W-2, so, you know, what we made was pretty simple. But as I alluded to earlier, well, I guess I didn't allude, I just told you straight up that, you know, I make about $2 million a year now, and so it's actually kind of hard to, oh no, something's wrong. What's happening? Oh, I think it's just the light up here. Okay, I'll be right back. Honestly, this is kind of a vibe. I kind of like this. This looks pretty good. I make about $2 million a year now, and it's actually very tough to track that. This was the first year that I really had to hire a bookkeeper, running profit loss statements for all my different properties, which, you know, that's not a big deal because I actually needed that for taxes anyways, but then running a profit loss statement for my YouTube channel, my content creation, and then HostCat, my educational business. And so now I'm really having to keep track of that because it's not really just money comes in from YouTube and money comes in from HostCamp and my educational programs and money comes in from Airbnb. Like that's one side of it. That's actually the easy part, money coming in. But then there's all of the expenses that come along with being an entrepreneur, like having full-time employees. I employ a full-time assistant. I employ a full-time editor. I hire so many different people in all of my different businesses, and it amounts to thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars every single month. In fact, the last payroll that I just ran like 4 days ago was about $39,000. Now on a monthly basis, my payroll is going to be closer to about $70,000 to $80,000 with a few factors that can affect that. So now it's not just money coming in, it's money going out. And with my business, I have so many different things that I pay for, like Slack channels, different softwares and services, analytic tools, marketing companies, and all that kind of stuff. And so all of these like $2,000, $1,000, $3,000, $4,000 expenses, they start to add up. And so it makes it very difficult to track your own money. And this is just not something you ever have to do when you're working on a full-time basis, because typically when you're working at a company, they hire fancy departments to do all that for you. So this is something you have to be ready for, especially if you're on track to make $1 million or if you're on track to become a millionaire and you want to grow your business and you want to grow your team and you want to scale. Keeping track of your money is kind of hard to do if you've never done it before. I feel like I blabbered on about that, but this is just a struggle that I've been having over the last 6 months. So be ready for it, study up, watch YouTube videos, see how people run their businesses, because ultimately it's going to help you. Number 2, you work harder. This one might be kind of obvious or maybe not. You tend to think, okay, I'm going to quit my 9-to-5 job and I'm going to get 40 hours back and I'm going to be able to hang out on a beach and call friends and do Zoom calls with all of my long lost friends and go out to eat and hang out and watch Riverdale any day of the week that I choose to watch Riverdale. I've never seen Riverdale.
I don't believe you.
You end up working a lot harder. And I remember I told my dad this and I was like, man, Dad, I thought, when I quit my 9-to-5 job, I was going to get 40 hours back and it was going to be great, but I'm actually working a lot harder now. And he just laughed and he's like, he basically said, when you're not messing around on someone else's dime and you have to work for your own paycheck because you own your own business, yeah, you're going to work a lot harder. And he was right. I mean, I didn't really think about this, but the fact that I didn't have my W-2 job as my cushion anymore really just meant that, okay, hey, I have to grind and I have to work super, super hard. I have to pump out videos. I have to work on making Host Camp better for all of my different students. I have to work on my affiliates. I have to work on my partnerships. I have to work on getting new Airbnbs up and running. And so yes, I got 40 hours back from not working a 9-to-5 job, but what I traded that for was an additional 80 hours into my schedule, right? Or what feels like 80 hours. So that's the thing. When I talk to people that want to quit their 9-to-5 job, oftentimes I say, look, the moment that you want to quit your 9-to-5 job is the moment that you have this side hustle that you've grown as much as possible. And the only way that you can possibly grow that side hustle anymore is by quitting your full-time job. So now let's say you quit your full-time job, you get your 40 hours back. You're going to dump those 40 hours into this business that has been growing over the past year, 2, 3, and then you're going to see those results and it's going to make you hungrier and it's going to make you grind more and you're going to be failing a lot and you're going to be learning so much about scaling the business that you're going to be working more to the point where you kind of realize that, there's the adage, right? The adage of entrepreneurs will work 80 hours a week so they don't have to work 40. It's very true, especially if you're quitting your 9-to-5 job to pursue something that isn't necessarily making money at the very beginning, which is 99% of the time for a lot of entrepreneurs. Number 3, this was actually a pretty tough one to realize for me, but the freedom of not having a schedule is actually kind of a prison. And what I mean by this is, okay, you don't have to clock in at 8, 9, or 10 in the morning, and you don't have to clock out at 5 o'clock anymore, right? Theoretically, you get to set your own hours. Remember what I said about number 2, where you work a lot harder? You work harder. Well, if that's the case and you don't have a consistent schedule, you're just gonna be working all the time. You never turn off. And that's really, really tough because now you might start at 12 o'clock, but because you're working 80 hours a week, let's just do the math there. So let's just divide 80 by 7 because entrepreneurs work every single day. That's gonna be 11.42 hours a day. So if you get started at noon, you're not really getting done with your workday until 11, 12, or 1 a.m. every single day. And it's pretty tough. And it's because you don't have this boss or this company or this corporate culture that's forcing you to get in at a consistent time. But what I'm realizing and what I've realized kind of more and more is that I tend to get started these days around 10 and that's still too late. It's really just, it's too late. Sometimes I get started at 11 and it really ends up biting me in the butt. As much as I wanted to quit my 9-to-5 job to, get rid of the 9-to-5 schedule, I actually find myself moving closer and closer to that. And I'll probably be starting at 9 sooner rather than later so that, I can finish at 5 or 6. Right now it's 6:36 p.m. I told my wife I'd be in by 6:30.
Liar!
This is a really great example of today just went really, really long and I want to go inside and have dinner with my kids and my wife, but I'm making this video. And I probably will take a break just so that I can maintain my marriage and my relationship with my kids and everything. But I just want to bring up the point that if you're not really disciplined and you don't set a work schedule for yourself, you will get burnt out because you'll just always be living in this spinning world where you're just dizzy and you're in limbo and you're just I don't know what my schedule is or isn't. And I think I have to work because I'm behind, and you're just always going to feel behind if you don't have a consistent schedule. All right, number 4, your social life is going to suffer. This is a big one. It's not like I don't have friends or anything like that. I still maintain my relationship with all my best friends and people that are close to me. So it's not like, okay, you become an entrepreneur, you quit your 9-to-5 job and boom, you're friendless in Seattle. It's not anything like that at all. But it is hard to make time for friends, and it's certainly hard to make time for new friends. I'll be very, very honest, and this is honestly something that bums me out a little bit as I say this. I don't even know why I feel ashamed to say this, but I have no desire to make new friends, at all.
It became personal with me.
Like in my life now, I have felt like I have met all the people that I really want to meet, and I'm so just not motivated to go out and make a new friend. And let me just clarify, it's not because I don't like people. I love people. I love meeting people, and I love making friends. I just don't have time for friends. And so by going out and trying to make new friends, it's starting to take away from maintaining the precious relationships that I have, and obviously like my family life too. So this is really tough for me because I'm extroverted, I'm fueled by people, but I just don't have the desire to go and meet them, because what I care about more these days are quality friendships. And quality friendships are gonna be the ones that I already have, like my best friend, my closest friends, my peers, my family. Like those are the relationships that I truly care about pouring into more than anything, because after just being secluded for 2 years, pandemic started, I was, in lockdown with my family, with my wife and kids for a year. Then we moved to Tennessee alone by ourselves on 52 acres, and we, inadvertently quarantined ourselves. Like I just didn't have a social life or any social elements to our life. We didn't have that. We longed for our friends. We missed our friends. So that just made us realize, like, okay, we've been outside of the social life for 2 years. Like we need to just focus on the people that are in our life. And if we ever meet a new friend, if the time is right, whatever, like obviously I'm not going to be like, don't want to meet you, see you later. Not accepting applications for new friends right now. I'm not like that, right? Obviously I'll meet someone if the timing is right, but I'm just not going out looking for friends, right? And I think that that's kind of what I mean by your social life suffers, because if you're an entrepreneur and you're busy and you're in the throes of it all, yeah, you're not really going to be looking for friends, and you just may not even have time for the friends that you have. So this is a really important one that I want you to recognize as early as possible, because after I moved back home a couple months ago, I just started seeing family like several times a week, and all my best friends like every single week. And I was like, oh, man, it just, my old friends that just, they love me for who I am, for better, for worse. This weird, like super overworked content creator, entrepreneur guy. Like they could care less about any success or anything that I have on YouTube or anything like that, right? Like they just care about me, and that's a refreshing thing. But I had to realize that I just have to make time for the people I care about. So you have to actively reach out to the people in your life, or else they're just gonna fade away. That's something I kind of learned the hard way here in the last 2 years. Ooh, number 5. This is a really good one. This is definitely a hard one. I think it's getting easier now. Okay, so number 5 is that you're gonna need to justify why you quit to a lot of people, to friends, to family, to peers, to colleagues, to freaking trolling YouTube and TikTok commenters and all that kind of stuff. Like you still have to justify why you're doing the thing that you're doing, And nowadays, I'm not really getting pushback from family and friends the way I was like, 6 to 12 months ago, where they're like a year ago, like when I was quitting my job, I was like, oh, why are you doing that? You sure you want to do that? You sure? You sure you don't want a 9-to-5 job that's stable W-2 income? Don't you think it's a little crazy to quit your job? And I remember in that moment I was so annoyed, like when I got those kind of comments, because I'm like, don't you think it's crazy to work a 9-to-5 job? Like now that I'm on the other side of it, there is no going back. And so it's so annoying when I have to justify the fact that I don't have a 9-to-5 job. And I'm like, clearly it's working out. Don't you see? Don't you see the life that I've carved out? Like I shouldn't have to justify these things. But you will. You will still have to justify things to your parents, to your grandparents, to your aunts and uncles, to people that just grew up with the more old-fashioned, non-entrepreneur-centric mentality. Now, with all that said, I'm not really implying that my parents are like this. Actually, my parents were super supportive. And I remember when I quit my job, I asked my dad, I was like, what do you think? Were you bummed when I quit my 9-to-5 job? We did an interview for a PBS documentary.
Considerando tu capacidad administrativa y tu capacidad de trabajo, pienso que no me fue difícil aceptarlo. Y pensé que no ibas a cometer ningún error.
And I was just really appreciative of the support at that time. But that's my story, and I had a lot of good things going for me. And I think, it's very clear to a lot of people in my life that things were going super well. But for you, if you want to quit your 9-to-5 job and you are leaving stability and you're quitting your 9-to-5 job to go open like a dog barkery, bakery, whatever, yeah, you're going to get some pushback. So don't let that hurt your feelings. It's going to. I'm sorry. Don't let that bring you down. It's going to. I'm sorry. But just be prepared for it, because I think the more you dig into why you're doing this and you can have that justification to yourself and your heart of hearts, that's going to help you get through anyone questioning your decision. And at the end of the day, them. Truly, if someone is trying to get in your way of starting a business or being an entrepreneur, quitting your 9-to-5 job, pursuing your dream and taking a bet on yourself, if someone is trying to get in the way of that, like cut them out of your life. Unless they're family, don't cut family out of your life. But if it's like a friend or something that just like they're really pessimistic and they're trying to bring you down, don't talk to them anymore. It's that easy. I've never had to cut anyone out of my life, thankfully, and I'm very privileged, but I just know a lot of people that have been in my position that have had to deal with this, and it's always a bummer to see the world kick down an entrepreneur because you don't need to take it. You can just cut negativity out of your life if you need to. Or if it is family and you want to cut them off until you're really successful and then come back and be like, told you, things are just fine. There's a whole list of these, and I'll make a series of these if you like this video. If this video is like, dang, Rob, you got real, give me more. I'm thinking about quitting my 9-to-5 job, and I like whenever you make this kind of content. Let me know down below, and it'll encourage me to make more of these types of videos. But the last one, and this is definitely like me. This is me in a nutshell. When you quit your 9-to-5 job, there is no relaxing, ever, really. And I've kind of alluded to this with some of these other ones, like you work harder, the freedom of your schedule is a prison, your social life will suffer because you're gonna be working so hard. Yeah, relaxing is really tough. The things that I used to find joy in, which are two main things here, watching TV and going to the movies or watching movies. Like, I love movies my whole life. I've always loved movies. Like, if you watch the channel, you know we're always inserting inserts. Everywhere you go, a hand to hold on to. So basically, if you don't buy Earth Bean Coffee, you hate Earth.
And I'm afraid Earth has been canceled.
That's not my thing.
I don't even know what this is. This sort of thing ain't my bag, baby.
Back to you, Dan.
Here's some other great town names. Latitz.
Much more.
Really nice.
I eat success for breakfast.
Big friggin' surprise.
I'm always using quotes for movies because I just love movies so much, and I just cannot freaking enjoy a movie the way I used to. And it's because so much stuff is going on, and this is like always a good problem to have, all right? Let me just like clarify for my personal businesses, I'm doing great, okay? My businesses are growing, I'm making great income, obviously. You know, I have a great support system. Like nothing is really particularly wrong with my life, okay? So let me just clarify that this isn't really me venting about things going wrong. It's just me venting about things are going right and it's still hard. That's what I want you to know, is that you're in your entrepreneurial journey, things can be going incredible for you and it's still gonna be really hard, okay? That's what you need to be ready for. That's the left hook I wasn't really expecting. Oh, hey, I've always wanted to start a YouTube channel and it's going super successfully. Great. I've always wanted to make $1 million. Great. Or $2 million. Great. Like all this stuff is happening and I was like, boom, all this stuff's gonna happen and great. And then it's just like, psh, 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 psh. Oh, hey, by the way, life is still hard. You still have to adjust to all these things that you thought you wanted, right? It's kind of one of those like, be careful what you wish for. Not that what you wish for is a bad thing, but there are consequences to every endeavor that you choose to take on. That's the thing that a lot of people don't tell you about. If you want to quit your career and you want to start a business and you make $2, $3, $4, $5 million a year, great. That's awesome. Congratulations if you actually do it. But there are so many sacrifices and compromises that you're going to make along the way. And if you're not ready for that, it's going to throw you for a loop. And now, in retrospect, I get to look back at my journey and be like, oh, I see. If I had done this and this and this, if I had realized these 6 things beforehand, maybe I could have prepared for it. But even then, I think you can watch this video and still think you're prepared for it and not be prepared for it until you actually live through it and kind of just formalize your own philosophies and POV on how to live life as an entrepreneur. And that's the thing about being an entrepreneur, is that when it's going really great, it's awesome, but it's still really hard. That was a big tangent on all this, but for me, relaxing is hard because yes, I'm having success in my business. I think that's what I was getting at. And when you're having a successful business, or even when you're not, there's just a million things going on. I mean, if you consider all of my different income sources, it's my education business, Host Camp, YouTube sponsorships, YouTube ads, my affiliates, Airbnb, and then like 4 or 5 different real estate developments that will lead to 100 new units in the next year. That's a lot of stuff. Even when half of all my projects have died down and they're on the back burner, there's still the other half of all the other things and businesses running in my life where shit is just popping off and going crazy. And so watching a movie is hard because I'm just thinking about everything that I've done wrong for the day, or everything that I'm behind with. And it's tough. It's tough to go to the movies and just churn off. And on top of that, like, I'm an Airbnb host. And one of the harsh realities of being an Airbnb host is that you're just always getting messages from guests because they're locked out, because there's a freaking like hair in the bathtub or the towel is stained or whatever. And they're reaching out to you and they're like, hey, did you know that there's a speck of dust on top of your fridge? And you're just like, dude, I just want to watch the Batman.
Okay, you guys, listen up. People paid good money to see this movie.
You know, it was pretty good. I liked it. It's not my favorite Batman, but it's like, I don't know, top 3. I think Dark Knight for sure, and then like the original Batman, like 1988, 89 with Michael Keaton, and then this Batman, the new one with Robert Pattinson. Honestly, kind of surprised me. I was like, who is this guy? In Twilight, sparkly dude, but he did kind of impress me in Tenet, so I was like, all right, I'll give him a shot. And I watched it, I was like, pretty good. Pretty good. Not my favorite, but pretty good. These are thoughts I wish I could have had while I was watching the movie, but I was freaking out about all of the different things that I have going on in my life. So anyway, for me, I have found one way to relax, and I think I can finally do it. My wife and I, we get in our pool koozie. I talk about this all the time on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram if you haven't, by the way. But basically, we have a very small pool, and this pool has the biggest heating element that you can get for a pool. And so because of that, we're able to heat our pool up to like jacuzzi hot tub temperatures. Like we can get up to 104 degrees in like 2-3 hours. And so we get in it several times a week. And then I was like, you know what? Let's buy a TV and put it out there. So we put a TV out, buy our pool koozie. So every few days we get in the pool koozie, we throw on Riverdale, we drink some beer and some wine and some cocktails, and we just relax. And so that's my way of trying to like get back into relaxing, because yeah, it's just not healthy to not relax, and it's not healthy to always be stressed out and be thinking about work. So more and more these days I'm trying to just disconnect and just like, okay, hey, you know what? Guess what? If I don't look at my email right now, like when I'm done looking at this, it'll be okay. It'll be okay until tomorrow. Nothing bad is gonna happen. I'm gonna try to do that when I'm done recording this. I'm just gonna shut down my laptop, go downstairs, pick up my kids and give them a kiss. That's what I wanna do. So that's it. Those are the 6 things you learn the hard way whenever you quit your 9-to-5 job and you recalibrate your life into entrepreneurship. It's not easy, it's not perfect, but damn it, it is really fun. Truly, I'm having a blast doing this. It's just so weird because I am just transforming and becoming a different person every single day. And it's kind of scary, but it's also kind of cool. Like the Robuilt that started 2 years ago, like, you know, good little wholesome Robuilt, you know, broke Robuilt that was doing DIY projects in his kitchen. Hey, I'm not that guy anymore. I mean, I am, obviously, if you talk to me, it's like I'm the same guy, but from a mental mindset and how I've just evolved in perspective and my point of view on life, it's just different. It's different, and I change that perspective, and that POV changes for me. It feels like every 3 to 6 months, where I'm just like, man, 6 months ago, I was not thinking the way I am now, which is more efficient, more optimized to just enjoy work, entrepreneurship, and life a little bit more. So anyways, this is a little rambly. I'm sorry. I don't know if this made sense. I like to like throw darts at the wall sometimes and be like, hey, here's what I'm struggling with, but also here's what I'm having fun struggling with. And I think that probably kind of encapsulates like my journey as an entrepreneur and what I like to share with you guys on YouTube. Like, hey, here's what I'm having fun struggling with as a businessman, as a very shrewd businessman on YouTube. Oh, okay, my wife said it's almost 7. Gotta go. See you guys on the next episode of Robuilt. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you want to start an Airbnb business, feel free to go to hostcamp.com and see if starting an Airbnb business is right for you. Okay, see ya.